The internal environment, corporate culture. The internal environment within which managers work includes corporate culture, production technology, organization structure, and physical facilities. Of these, corporate culture surfaces as being extremely important to competitive advantage. The internal culture must fit the needs of the external environment and company strategy. When this fit occurs, highly committed employees create a high-performance organization that is tough to beat. Most people don't think about culture, it's just how we do things around here or the way things are here. However, managers have to think about culture. Culture guides how people within the organization interact with one another and how the organization interacts with the external environment, thus playing a significant role in organizational success. Organizational culture has been defined and studied in many and varied ways. For the purposes of this chapter, we define culture as the set of key values, beliefs, understandings, and norms shared by members of an organization. The concept of culture helps managers understand the hidden, complex aspects of organizational life. Culture is a pattern of shared values and assumptions about how things are done within the organization. This pattern is learned by members as they cope with external and internal problems and taught to new members as the correct way to perceive, think, and feel. Although strong corporate cultures are important, they can also sometimes promote negative values and behaviors. When the actions of top leaders are unethical, for instance, the entire culture can become contaminated. Consider what happened at News Corporation, a corporate giant with a lucrative string of media properties all over the world. Rupert Murdoch, chairman and CEO, has been accused of frequently applying unethical, sometimes seedy tactics in his business dealings. In addition, Murdoch has used blunt force spending to silence critics with multi-million-dollar payoffs. "Bury your mistakes," Murdoch was fond of saying. But he couldn't bury the scandal that rocked the organization after journalists working for News Corporation newspapers allegedly hacked private voicemail messages and offered bribes to police in the pursuit of hot scoops. As reported in the New York Times, journalists went so far as to hack the voicemail of a murdered 13-year-old girl, Millie Dowler, while she was still listed as missing. As this example illustrates, the values and behaviors of top leaders have the potential to shape significantly the decisions made by employees throughout the organization. Mark Lewis, the lawyer for the family of the murdered girl, pointed out, "This is not just about one individual, but about the culture of an organization." Culture can be analyzed at two levels. At the surface level are visible artifacts, which include things such as manner of dress, patterns of behavior, physical symbols, organizational ceremonies, and office layout. Visible artifacts are all the things one can see, hear, and observe by watching members of the organization. At a deeper, less obvious level are values and beliefs, which are not observable but can be discerned from how people explain and justify what they do. Members of the organization hold some values at a conscious level. These values can be interpreted from the stories, language, and symbols that organization members use to represent them. Some values become so deeply embedded in a culture that members are no longer consciously aware of them. These basic underlying assumptions and beliefs are the essence of culture and subconsciously guide behavior and decisions. In some organizations, a basic assumption might be that people are essentially lazy and will shirk their duties whenever possible. Thus, employees are closely supervised and given little freedom, and colleagues are frequently suspicious of one another. More enlightened organizations operate on the basic assumption that people want to do a good job. In these organizations, employees are given more freedom and responsibility, and colleagues trust one another and work cooperatively. At Menlo Innovations, for example, which is part of the trend toward bossless organizations that we discussed in Chapter 2, the culture promotes trust and collaboration. This chapter's Manager's Shop Talk further describes the bossless trend. At Menlo, the goal for each person is not to get the right answer, make the right connection, be the smartest, or know the most, but rather to bring out the best in one's partner. The cultural values encourage and support everyone feeling that they are pulling together. An organization's fundamental values are demonstrated through symbols, stories, heroes, slogans, and ceremonies.